Hello, my name is Chebbi. I am the founder of Nala Feminist Collective. We are a Pan-African front of feminist leaders with a mission to foster, embolden, and mobilize women and girls from Africa and the diaspora for feminist transformative change. African women have a critical role to play in the decision-making process for climate action. 80% of people displaced by the climate-related diseases around the world are women and girls. Many girls drop out of school because of drought or flood, and gender norms make women travel long distances in search of clean water and food for their households. The upcoming COP in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt is our African COP. Climate change is an existential threat to African communities, ecosystems, and economies. In fact, 7 out of 10 countries around the world that are most vulnerable to climate change are African countries. As Nala Fem, we lend our voice to support African women and girls' demands for COP27 by the African Feminist Task Force, calling for representation, leadership, and participation in line with B+25 manifesto demand on intergenerational co-leadership. We call for the greater inclusion of women and young people in the national and international decision-making processes. As Nala Fem, we lend our voice to Nala Council member Vanessa Nakate, calling on loss and damage to be on the agenda, and for a just and equitable transition from fossil fuel for all. Africa accounts for the smallest share of carbon emissions, only at 4%, compared to China at 23%, the United States at 19%, and the European Union at 13%. About 86 million Africans will migrate within their own countries because of climate change. As Nala Fem, we lend our voice to Nala Council member Bukholo Kinawando, calling for just, well-financed climate action in Africa, the provision of adequate, accessible climate finance as a matter of justice and equity, honoring the pledges made in 2009. These funds should be channeled to the most vulnerable communities and regions, especially in energy and water, and especially in the Sahel region, made up of 8 countries with up to 13.5 million people in the area that could fall into poverty due to climate change. As Nala Fem, we lend our voice to the African group of negotiators that has been calling for 1.3 trillion a year in climate finance to be available from 2025. As Nala Fem, we lend our voice to the African Union Climate Change and Resilient Development Strategy and Action Plan 2022-2032, intended to be a people-centered, leveraging on the region's large and active youth demographic and the African Union Free Trade Area. Africa has a united voice and bold actors and clear solutions and roadmap. COP27 must listen and act. As a decision maker, ask yourself, what is the boldest decision you can take at COP27 that can save lives? History had many heads of states and ministers and diplomats, but we only remember those who made just, equitable, feminist, and immediate decisions. One speech, one action, one decision can make a difference, because you are the decision maker for our climate future, for people and for planet.